ask them what they do at every point in time that still make things to keep on growing as it is expected to be. Not just anyhow women o. Like you have seen women that their marriage is working. Yes, it's not perfect, but you are learning something from there. So as virtuous women, we have learned to endure. Yes, we have learned to adapt to the situation of things. You don't just complain. I know that things are not right and you want to make a point, but you will not just complain. You have learned to grow even when there are challenges. Even when things are not going well, you have learned to still grow. You will not say because there are challenges and you stop going to your place of work. There are women that have learned how to handle their family, they have learned how to handle their work, and they have learned how to handle other lifestyle, their extracurricular activities, and they will not join things together. They know how to separate work from family, from pleasure and every other things. They know how to say this is the time to party with friends. They know the right time. They know the right time to deal with family. They know the right time to deal with work. That is where a virtuous woman is. And yes, a virtuous woman will cry, but she will not quit. She will not say because this thing affected me today and I cry and I'm not going to keep doing it again. In as much it is adding to your growth. Yes, it's not good to cry all the time, but when you need to, maybe you are overwhelmed, you are emotional or something, the best way to express it probably is to cry and you accept it. But you don't because of that and quit and say because of this one I'm leaving this marriage, because of this one I am leaving this particular work. There are times that you need to endure, and a virtuous woman, even if she failed, she will not stop. That is strength. Look at what we are doing now. Even when you feel like you don't want to keep on going, but you have just find balance, you have been disciplined, consistency over time, that is strength. Your strength is not when you can carry something. No, your strength is not in the physical, is in your character. That is your strength. Your strength is when you can still hold things together. When things are not alright, you can still come in the picture and you are able to fix it. That is your strength. And a virtuous woman will make impact. Yes, that will be my last point. A virtuous woman will make impact. If you are really virtuous, people will learn from you. People will learn from you. Even if you are building something, when you are building, you are also impacting life in your own little way. Who is a virtuous woman today and the child is not proud to say, I am learning from my mommy? Check your life very well. I feel like even if you are virtuous enough, your daughter or your son should not see comfort in another person. And I know that the society we have today, Gen Z mother all around now, they can't talk to their children, maybe while growing up, they can't even speak up to their own parents because their parents will not even have anything meaningful to tell them, and they will now find comfort in one motivational speaker. I feel like when you are really virtuous, there are some things that your daughter should see in you and say, if my mommy do not used to do this particular thing, then why should I do it? Now let me speak to the younger ones that are growing up. Learn. Myself, I'm younger. Yes, I'm speaking to myself as well. So I know you are surprised. But yes, we should learn from the elders. I know that a whole lot of us, we have learned something from our mother while growing up. And when we are on our own, we are now reflecting those characters. I know so many things that my mom will have done. And I don't need anybody to remind me that when I'm in this kind of situation, this is what I should do. Because I've learned from her. And not only her alone, people around you, mothers around you. As a boss in your place of work, you should be a mother to people under you. As somebody who is building something, General KSO spoke about successor. Like, sorry, remind me your topic again, sir. Yes, that to have a successor, why it is important. Now, if you are really a virtuous woman, you should be able to hand over something that is right to your children even when you are not there. Then your child can really say, yes, I have learned from my mom. You are not there, can they still do things in the right way? You are not there, your child will not know how to cook, your child will not know how to put things in order. I know some ladies that when their mother is not even there, they will do things perfectly and you think it is their mother who have done it, and their father or people around will look at them and say, mama elojo, that kind of thing. You really resemble your mother. That's what it means in English, because they have seen that their moms are doing the right thing. Even when they are doing something bad, they will say you resemble your mother. But we must just learn how to do the right thing. Seriously, we must learn how to do the right thing. And one of the major things that a virtuous woman has is impact. Impact, you don't need to drag it, because people are watching and they are learning. They are able to impact others. They are able to impact others. And it's not just about themselves, about their family. Even their husband is watching, and someone who is not married, your male friends, they are watching you as well, and they will be able to defend you when things go wrong. When they hear something, they will stand up for you and say, lie, Abigail cannot do something like this. Never, Joy cannot do something like this. That is it, because they have seen the way you do things, and they can beat their chest and say, I can vouch for this person, she will always do the right thing. That is what a virtuous woman is. A virtuous woman will impact her community. Yes, it's not just the town, village this time around. But what do I mean by community? People who are under you, people you have access to, and people who have access to you. Your community. And by the time they see you, they know that this is not just an ordinary person that is coming. This is a woman of value. This is a woman who has a whole lot of virtue. A virtuous woman is obedient. You are not the type that you'll be given instructions and you'll be analyzing the instruction. Obey before you complain. Though not everything, but you know that things that are right. I'm not talking about just go and do anyhow thing. No, it's also obedient actually. But things that are right, you obey. You are not seeing the clause in it. Even a generation, you are not there again, but what will people say about you in 50 years to come? Are you really living that life? There are so many times that my mom will always make reference to our mommy, grandma, our own grandma. She's late now. Now she will always say something that if our mom, that this is what she's going to do, that means she has learned from her, and somehow she's also impacting us with that kind of thing as well. So if you are not here again after 70, 100 years, what will people say about you? Is your life an impact? Have you impacted your generation? So people will feel your presence, not because you are just love. It's not just about that. People can love you with just the words of their mouth, but they are not really proving it with their action. But your presence alone is carrying something. And as a virtuous woman, you impact, you lift others. You see that someone is lacking something and you have excess, you don't keep it to yourself, even if it is pain. Some ladies, they are not cheerful giver today. You have more and somebody is complaining, I'm hungry, even if it is water. You can't lift others, you can't support others. Some ladies, they gatekeep a lot information. They want things for themselves alone. They cannot share with their fellow gender because they just want to be that successful person. No, you have scholarship opportunity. You should not be the only one that will benefit from it. Maybe because you feel like, if I share it with Joy, she's definitely going to do more than I do. And because of that, you keep it to yourself. Joy one day will see opportunity that will even be greater than your own. But if you share, there is a way you are also like investing in that person's growth as well, that you don't know. You might be that agent of change for that person's life just because of a simple opportunity that you share with that particular person. while we started this 20 days challenge of a thing around last year, that it was just the window is just for core members. Do you know that core members that were not in my local government, and I know that this lady, she's having this thing in her, she can speak, I have to share that information with her. So you should not gatekeep. Don't say no, it's just for only me, I don't want anybody to compete with me. What will compete with you is coming. You should also learn to teach others. Just like the first example that I shared, you have a roommate, when she enters, she'll just drop shoe anywhere. You don't need to shout at her. The very first time she did that particular thing, just pick it up. Then maybe the following day you now sit her down and say, Paula, next time when you come inside your room, don't just scatter your shoe anywhere. Put it here. This is how you used to do things. This is how, and all of that. You teach others. And if that lady is also virtuous as well, she will be ready to learn as well. She will be ready to learn. So you not just pass judgment. A virtuous woman is not that one that will stand in a far place and start passing judgment and say, we already know that that's how it's going to turn out. You are God. You already know. And when you already know, you can't even do that right thing that will correct the wrong decision that the person have already made. You can't bring the person to order, and what you can only do is to pass judgment. Ladies that are growing up, your children are learning from you, and they will learn from you. So if your success only benefits you, then it is not complete. It is not complete. If your success is only for yourself, it's not even success. Success is success when others benefit from it. And mind you, success is not just about money. It's not just about money. But when you really say you are successful, you have impact life, and people can really learn from you. As I bring this presentation to a close, I want to tell you that being a virtuous woman is not about being perfect. That is where I started from. It is not about being perfect. It is choosing to do what is right every single day, irrespective of whatsoever thing that happened. And now, I want you all to ask yourself, what kind of woman are you becoming? People will forget about everything about you, but they will never forget what you do and what you say. Always remember that. And gentlemen seated right here, I hope that you have also learned something. You have learned strength. It's not just about perfection. I do hope that every one of us will be a virtuous woman indeed. And right now I'll be passing on the mic to the next speaker.
A round of applause for the last speaker, please. Good morning, everybody. Such a beautiful dove. Yeah, I would like to say that birds of the same feathers flock together. So if you're a virtuous woman and you choose to get married, please marry a dove. Marry a virtuous man. Everything she said for the woman goes for the man. You can't be a dove and marry a lion. He's going to eat you. Alright? Thank you very much. Yeah. Are you together?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. My topic today is client relationship in the workplace. What did I say?
Client relationship in the workplace.
Alright, I want to hear it again because you guys are talking. Client relationship in the workplace. Okay, so in today's class, I always like it when my participants are jotting down because I take time to bring my class to you. And I'm going to make this very short because of the next speaker. Alright, so participants will, number one, understand the concept of a client. Who is a client? Determine customers' needs and experience. Please, let's write it down, especially for those of us who want to run businesses. There's a way you run a professional business. And if you intend to run your business and you are working for somebody, the kind of seeds you sow into somebody else's business is what you will do in your own business. How will I say it? I said your brain is a muscle. You train your brain. So if you are working for somebody and you have the habit of not doing things right, working for somebody, when you are running your own business, a habit is something you unconsciously do. When you are running your own business subconsciously, you run your business down. So the last speaker gave an example of somebody having bad habits in another person's business. You know, you are answering clients rudely. So you have already trained your brain that, you know what, I'm rude to clients. So when you are running your own business, you want to change. Unfortunately, your brain doesn't work like that. It is a what? The brain is a what? Thank you very much. The brain is a muscle. Okay, you guys have been paying attention. So if you're not in the habit of training your brain to treat clients right, when you're running your business, you won't treat clients right. Okay, so we are number one, understand the concept of a client. Number two, determine customer needs and experience. Number three, make a great first impression. And number four, manage self. And number five, finally, satisfy customers in difficult conditions. Did we all get that down? Yes. All right. Now, number one, who is a client? A client is an individual or organization that needs services that you provide. Okay? A client is an individual or an organization that needs services that you provide. So if you go to the bank, you are a client to that bank. If you are using Globalcom, you are a client to Globalcom. If you go to a tailor, you are a client to the tailor. So if you go to a school as a parent to drop your child, you are a client to the school. So a client is a stakeholder in your business. A client is the one who needs the services that you provide. So you want to understand your client's needs. So I'm going to break it down to the very barest minimum. Peradventure, you are selling food on the street. Iya risira or iya riskia. You understand? You are selling rice on the street. One of the things, why do people buy street food? They buy street food because of fast life. So you need to calculate your prime time. Your prime time in your street food sales would be morning time or evening time. All right? Your prime time will be what? Morning time or evening time. Because early in the morning, your customers are going to work, and in the evening, they are coming back, they want to buy dinner. Another prime time that you have would be between the hours of 12 and 2. So you need to know your customers' needs. You need to know your customers need you. So when your customers need you, in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. Now, you need to listen to your customers' comments when they are buying your food. Do they complain that it is too soft? Do they complain that it is too strong? Why is the food turn out too strong? Is it that you did not plan the hour which you are going to cook the food? Your customer would need a decent place to sit down and eat, even if it is under an umbrella. Your customers will not want flies to perch on their food. Are we together? So you need to listen. You need to practice active listening. Active what? I think I've mentioned active listening very often because we like to talk a lot. Okay, so we talk actively, but do we listen actively? Active listening is a life skill. It's a what? Everybody should listen actively. All right, everybody, not just a certain gender. Everybody. Active listening. And in active listening, you ask relevant questions. Okay, you ask open-ended questions. That's the second point. So, for example, I think I've said example before. Somebody said, you know what, I want the decoration to be red. An active person would ask a question, what shade of red? Is it wine? Is it burgundy? Is it maroon? Because we have different shades of red. I'm wearing a shade of red. This curtain is a shade of red. That chair is a shade of red. So when you are dealing with clients, ask open-ended questions. Another way of asking open-ended questions is to seek clarity by saying, did you say that when I get to Oshodi, I should take another bus to Anthony and drop on the left and cross to the right? The person will say, no. When you get to Oshodi and you get to Anthony, you will be on the left and cross to the right. If you do not ask open-ended questions, you are most likely to make a mistake. Then you will make sentences like, I thought that you said, but you said, and it will cause a rift because you did not ask an open-ended question. Are we together? And these are things that we practice all the time. I said, let us say, for example, the Commissioner of Commerce that came yesterday, let us say she gave us her phone number. She said 08055673551. You would have written it down, Abby? But you will still ask, Ma, did you say 080553741? Why did you ask her? Why didn't you just go on ahead and save the number that you had? Are we together? Now, they ask for clarification. So I've said active listening, ask open-ended question, empathy. What did I say? I know a lot of people like to use the word empathy. Empathy does not mean feeling pity for people. Some people are going through their consequences. They are going through the consequences of their own decision. And you cannot stand in the place of karma. You are not God. Are we together? Empathy. Empathy is listening with the ears of another, seeing with the eyes of another, and feeling with the heart of another. The last speaker that spoke comes from a flourishing background. And so her background is different from some other people's background. Are we together? We are all sharing the content of our journey. And like she said, somebody who grows up as a child, seeing her parents do certain things, that person would mirror the world through those lenses. Even if you want to build a relationship, please ask open-ended questions in the relationship. A marriage is a very business and strategic decision. What did I say? Again, what did I say? A marriage is a very what? A lion should marry a lion. A dove should marry a dove. Because lions know that they will eat doves. You understand? Your patience as a dove cannot stop a lion from eating you. Are you getting me? When I was a kid, when we watch cartoons, you see a snake mother. She will tell her snake child that is playing with a sheep. She will say, darling, are you playing with your food? Are you playing with your food? Then the sheep mother will tell the snake, her baby sheep, darling, are you playing with the one who is going to eat you? Are you getting me? Please know your clients. Ask for clarification. Very important in business, feedback loop. What did I say? Feedback loop. A feedback is an app. A feedback loop can be an app or a link that you send to your clients to ask how their services went. Some of you here will notice I've asked you, what did you think about my class? That is because I am used to getting feedback. Are you getting me? For example, if I get a call from a company and they say they want me to do a training, you should not be afraid of feedback. I will send a link to them. I would ask them, from point 1 to 5, how did this class satisfy you? Question 2, what did you get from the class? Question 3, how do you think I can improve my class? Question 4, will you call me back? Are you with me? Question 5, would you recommend my classes to other clients? I don't just assume that, I'm a superstar coach. I know what I'm doing. Are you getting me? So sometimes I've seen some feedback, they will break my heart. Because when you allow people to give you feedback, they will give it to you, woto. I've seen feedback that will be like, I did it well. Positive feedback that will break my heart. And when I look at the feedback that breaks my heart, I will realize, oh, okay, next time I can do it better. And when I take the feedback and I take the correction, my next class is what? Better. And one thing I've noticed is that clients that can give you feedback, tell you what you did well, and tell you what you can improve on, will definitely call you back. Are you getting me? That is how you improve. So you need a feedback loop. Let me tell you something. Our generation thrives on feedback. Feedback is the heart shape, the like button and the dislike button on your picture. The moment you put up a picture online, you have given people permission to give you feedback. Prioritize needs. I talk about Iyariskia. I said that Iyariskia must listen. Okay, when the mechanics are coming to eat their breakfast in the morning, there are too many flies. Iyariskia then knows that, okay, maybe she would find a way to make sure the gutter is very clean, to make sure the dirt is far away, so that the clients will not say, that is, they will not say flies are too many here. Documentation. Document your progress. Some people have been speaking and they've been writing down their topics. They've been writing down the days that they spoke. Documentation is key. I once worked in a consultation company. That year, we had over 5,000 trainings. That year alone. No. 5,000 trainings, yes. Over 15,000 clients. Are you together? How were we able to track it? Documentation. The topics that we took, client per client. We then documented who needs what. Don't lose your slides. I have lots of slides on my laptop. I can have this training going for the next 30 days. I have a backlog of slides to go to. Don't delete the slides. If the slides are too many, zip them. But keep those slides. Documentation is key. Okay? The reason why we have the types of religions we have in this world, Buddha, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, traditional religion, the reason why the religions that are trendy is because of proper documentation. The reason why you don't know your African religion is because it was not properly documented. It was spoken mouth to mouth and the story was changed. So somebody could just come and easily tell you what you know is wrong. But if it was written down and documented and transcribed and passed down from generation to generation, you will know. You can learn how to document by keeping a journal. Okay? Start keeping your personal life journal. Not only that, you will record the bad things people did to you. That's not what I mean. That is a malice book. That is not a journal. You can document your struggles and how you overcame them. Write it down. If you can document things now, you can predict the future. Are you together? Because if you notice that, so I told you sometimes that your dreams change after every decade. I did not make that statement by accident. It's something I know. Are you together? Because you mature. Your life has a pattern. There are certain seasons in your business when you have clients. There was a particular time when we were at work, we were working clients Monday to Sunday. I couldn't take it anymore. My blood pressure was high. And some clients want you to come to their place. Others even want you to travel. I say, God, I'm tired. And then there are seasons when there are no clients. It will be as if, what's going on? Now, most of the times when there are no clients, that is towards end of the year season. Sometime around that November, December time. If you are in a training company, during that time, companies are beginning to write budgets. They are cleaning their table. They are clearing things. So they don't have time to pay for trainings. It's not because you are smelling. It's not because anybody did something spiritual to you. It is just the season. Same thing if you are selling clothes. There's a season to sell red clothes. If you are selling clothes, you can sell color red in Valentine. You can sell color red in Christmas. That's when those colors sell. Color green will sell in Christmas. That's when those colors sell. You get. There's a time to sell Christmas tree. You can't sell Christmas tree during Independence Day. You can't sell Christmas tree on Children's Day. That is not the season. If you are selling Christmas tree out of season, no matter how many times you pray, you will not sell. Because it is not what? The season. Are you together? So it's a season when people buy things. Even plants, they grow in what? Season. So you need to understand your clients. You need to understand their needs. You need to document these things. What season is this? You need to observe. Which season did I sell high heel shoes most? Which season did I sell flat shoe most? When you document, you know when to bring out which good. Are you getting it? After you document, you follow up. What do? You what? Follow up. Active listening, ask open questions, empathy, ask for clarification, feedback loop, prioritize needs, and document. What did I say? Document. Anything that is not documented will be forgotten. The smallest pen is sharper than the sharpest IQ. Alright, follow up. Next thing, making a great impression. I spoke about this a few nights ago. I said the first time I came here, I met the young man at the gate. He smiled at me. I knew that this was a good place. I can't forget it. And the guy is always smiling. I started calling him $1 million man. Because he has $1 million smile. You understand? Impression management. And for you to, if you are running your business, a lot of people always complain, why did they pay for this training? Your boss is paying for the training because they love you. If they don't love you, they will sack you because you don't know what you are doing. So sometimes when you are working somewhere, the company has noticed that you are lacking certain business skills that you are not taught in your university. So they will decide, okay, you know what, this guy doesn't know this thing, they doesn't know this thing, let's pay for the training. Training is expensive. I'm very expensive. Let me tell you now, I'm very, very expensive. You get me? So they pay good money to train you so that you will know. Other companies, they can train by themselves. They do in-house training. Okay? Now, impression management is the conscious or subconscious process of controlling the way we appear to others. You want to be in control of how you appear to others. Life is not, I don't care what people think about me. That's not life, oh. My darling, you care. You definitely care because you want to know exactly what they are saying about you in rooms that you are not there. Because there are some people that will talk about you in a certain room that will open the door to your destiny that you have been praying for. So you have to be careful how you present yourself to people. It involves shaping the opinions and beliefs and perceptions that others have about you. You want to shape the belief and perception that let me tell you something, not every musician that starts singing is a bad boy. Many of them are gentlemen. It just comes with the terrain that they must be in the news. And bad news travels fast. So they begin to behave the way they are not. Unfortunately, the thing about life is if you do something consistently, you become that thing. Alright? First impressions are actively transmitted unconsciously, whether or not you like it. They are actively transmitted. People are judging you. They can judge where you come from just by looking at the way you dress. Listen to the way you talk. They are beginning to say, oh, this person went to school. This person did not go to school. This person is bold but ignorant and boldly sharing their ignorance. People can tell about you in the first 5 minutes that they meet you. All right? Please, I'm rushing because I need to save time. Okay? Thank you, sir. Self-management skills. Self-awareness and mastery. You need to know yourself. You need to what? I always talk about Thomas Kilman conflict management. I think I'm going to take that class later on in the evening today. So I would ask you to attend. All right? And so Thomas Kilman conflict management is a very major class because you need to identify your character. You need to do what? Identify your character. So you can identify what you like and what you don't like and who you want to keep around you. And you need to have self-mastery. Mastery of yourself. You get? Some people grew up traumatic and their trauma gives them terrible imagination. So their approach to life comes from that, their trauma. You need to have mastery of yourself. So that when those traumatic imaginations are coming, you can concentrate and say, this is not me. This is an imagination that is not me. And you can quickly delete it and not act on it. Prioritization. Mr. David spoke about how you prioritize time. What you are going to eliminate. What you are going to delegate. What you are going to automate, and what you are going to be an expert in. You need to prioritize your skills. Some of us here, we are multi-talented. And being multi-talented and multifaceted is not a crime. But everything has a season. There are some particular skills that you can train people on. There are some skills that you have that you are running a business on that you will delegate and ask other people to do for you. For example, this platform that we are on is a delegated platform. Are we together? Because one person cannot stand there talking all these days. So this has been what? Delegated. All right? Time management. Emotional intelligence. This is not the hour because I can talk on emotional intelligence for 2 days straight. And I promise you, you will not be bored. Okay? Stress management. Alright? I'm talking about feedback. Accountability. Accountability what? Ability. I'm talking to young people. It's not that when you get a result, you then be blaming the teacher. They gave me. You passed, if you then say, I got. Did you read? Take responsibility. Tell yourself the truth. What did I do wrong? Did I research? Did I express myself well? Did I put the right answer? Now, satisfying customer needs in difficult situations. If you come from the generation I come in from, you will not really like going to bank. Because somebody here spoke about GT Bank. I remember back in the days, I don't even like GT Bank. I used Wema Bank and First Bank. Because when I see GT Bank, that Q, that WQ, I don't like stress. The moment I will see the Q, I will have headache. Alright? So, in this particular case, banks used to have a lot of difficult customers. I remember one day I went to First Bank, we had such a long queue, everybody was angry. We were all shouting at the people at the front desk, making noise. It's not our money. How's the network not going? Blah 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 and things like that. The people sitting down at the front, they were all very quiet. Somebody later came, said, we are so sorry, they gave us water. When your customers are being difficult, understand that they are coming from the place of their own need. That's not the time you start shouting at them. That's not when you say it's not our fault. It's not us that said the network should not go. Are you not living in this Nigeria? No. You calm down. Your customer is king. Your customer is what? Because without the customer, you cannot pay your bills. Okay? Without the customer, you cannot do what? Pay your bills. Customers would always be agitated when their needs are not met. It is only when the customers are satisfied that you will have the confidence to say you have delivered excellently. Now, please let wisdom be applied. Some customers look like they are coming to show you hell intentionally. There was a school that I was a project manager in sometime in the year 2015-2016 at First Stack. Now, there was this lady. She happened to have married a rich man, but she herself did not have all the training, and she's not so enlightened to help her children with their homework and things like that. And the truth about it is that low self-esteem can make people hot-tempered. Are you together? So when she expressed her feelings, her disgust with the homework, do you know what the school owner did? The school owner called her. They come from the same tribe. The school owner spoke to her in her language. She didn't go all high and mighty. I'm from London, you have to respect me. No. She spoke to her in her language in her office and said, what is the problem? She said, I want my child to do well. But I myself, I can't read and write. When this child comes with the homework, it's too voluminous. And the child is asking me questions. I don't know how to help him. Are we together? So she said, you know what, ma? Would you like us to teach you how to read and write? Can your child close late? We will get a separate teacher to help your child in school with their homework. Of course, at that point in time, the woman felt shy to want to learn how to read and write. But then she said, if you guys can help me with the child's homework, I will appreciate it. Not all of your parents are educated in your school system, but most people don't want their children to experience the embarrassment that they have. So that is how to deal with a difficult client. It's not by shouting at the teacher that you, this teacher, don't you know your job? Stop giving the children homework. Then you are reducing your standard. Okay? Yes, you would have difficult customers. If you listen to them actively, you will understand why they are being difficult. The thing there is that it's not for you to reduce your standard to please a customer, but for you to understand your customer's specific need and meet that need still in your standard. Are you together?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm talking about, okay, I actually wrote it here, understand their need, personalized interaction, like what I said now, about calling the woman into her office, not speaking to her in a language she does not understand, but choosing to speak in the language the woman understands to make her feel what? At home. Alright? Provide education and resources. So for example, I crochet. I have sold crochet to some clients. Now back in 2015, I noticed that sometimes when you sell crochet to some people, they will go and put it inside water when it's dirty. Then they will bring up the fabric and they will scrub. Others they will put inside the machine on strong and it will, the fabric will spoil. I don't care which country it comes from. The fabric will spoil. So then I had a friend of mine we discussed. She did a video, we put it online. She said how to wash your crochet fabric. So you just remove the fabric, soak it in water. Let it soak for at least 15 to 30 minutes. Scrub gently. Crochet is like foam. It doesn't have stain. Me, I even tell you, if it is pure sheep fabric, if it's pure cotton, just put it on your hanger, dry it under the sun. It will smell brand new. You don't have to scrub it. So you see, you provide education on how to use your product. When you buy your phone comes with, what do they call that paper? Like with a manual. Your phone comes with a manual. It is advisable you read that manual. That manual is the education on how to use your phone. In fact, phone companies have even gone further. We have tech guys who do videos on YouTube. Anytime a new phone is launched, you will see a tech guy, he will get a copy of the phone. He would break down everything about that phone to you on a YouTube video. So you can watch how to use this phone 101. And somebody has broken it down, so you are educated on how to use it. If you want to learn how to use Canva, there are videos teaching you exactly how to use Canva. So you educate your customers on how to use your product. You just don't create something fantastic and magical and expect people to use it. Yes, it's fantastic, but if they don't know how to use it, they are not going to buy it. Okay? Measuring success. I think I've mentioned part of that. Monitoring key performance indicators, your KPIs. That is for a big company, and this is what people are working in big companies. You know, people don't like NPR meetings. You're always like, oh, that meeting that we're going to go and talking. We're going to talk long. NPR is your monthly performance review, for those of you who haven't started. But I assure you that if you're a promising staff in a company, you will definitely be in NPR. I've said earlier you should document your KPI, what is expected of you. Once you have documented them, you will not struggle in your NPR. Okay? Your boss will just ask you what was on your to-do for this month. What and what did you achieve? What is green? What is yellow? What is red? Okay? Green means you have done it. Yellow means you are still working on it. Red means it's a little bit far. Are we together? All right. So you need your tools, your feedback form. I've told you about it. You can use an Excel sheet to create a form to send to people. Your survey and questionnaire. Please seek feedback. What did I say? Feedback is not bad. There are some feedback that you may not like. You'll be like, how will this person say that I talk too much? How will this person say I don't know what I'm saying? How will this person say that I do not have mastery of the subject or of the topic I'm discussing? The person said it because that is what you communicated. You can get a video of your class, watch the video, and then you will see, oh, I did not communicate right in this place. Then improve on yourself. That is how you refine yourself. You refine yourself with feedback. Why do you think picture qualities have greatly increased on social media? Pictures were not this good before. It was feedback. Alright? Please, phone calls, very, very respectful. I want to give an example of the time I had an issue with my bank. And I remember the person that attended to me on the phone. I used to hate calling customer care before then, because sometimes you call customer care and they are obviously mocking you. They are obviously laughing at you. You know the funny thing, that if you are laughing and mocking somebody on a phone call, somehow the person will perceive it. Yeah. So I don't like calling customer care, but it's been quite a while, a few years ago, I had to call customer care. I told the guy, hey, some money was taken from my bank account. I don't know why, blah, 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 blah. The guy then said, first of all, like, good morning, ma. He introduced his name. This is from First Bank Customer Care. Please be informed that this call is being recorded for reviews and things like that. I said, okay. So what is your complaint, ma? Then I went like, some money left my bank, I don't know how, I don't know why, and I was ready to leave it because money has left my account. You know, it's my money. I worked for it. How will you just leave my account? And I was a bit salty in the way I spoke to him. He answered me very calmly, as if they poured ice water on my body. He said, I'm so sorry, ma. Okay, please, can you give me your bank account number? I gave him. Can you give me the name of the account? I gave him. Please hold on for a few minutes. I will get back to you. So he went at that moment to check, to see what I said, if it was true. He then came back and then clarified. He said, on what day was the money missing? I told him. At what time did you notice? I told him. He said, okay, no problem. I think you paid for an app, blah, blah, blah. They have removed the money. But if you do not want to if you don't want to renew your payments with that app, you would have to you will have to change your ATM card and cancel the other ones. The matter was resolved. Are you getting me? It is his politeness. That is when your patience will come in. Okay? It is his politeness that poured cold water on my body. And I was good. Now, I'll be concluding soon. Sir, I'll be concluding soon. Get closer than ever to your customers so that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. What did I say? Get closer to your customers so that you tell them what they need well before they realize it. And this is Steve Jobs. Okay? Steve Jobs is one of the back-end people of the algorithm today. And the algorithm is used to study human behavior. The algorithm has brought businessmen close to you. How are you using the algorithm for yourself? Again, it says get closer than ever to your customers so that you tell them what they need even before they need it. Remember what I said about Iyariskia when she's setting her place of rise? Study your customers. What did I say? And on that note, I would like to hand over to the next speaker.
Good day, everybody. It's good to see every one of you again. What I'm about to speak about today is how monitoring and evaluation can really impact a nation building. How effects of monitoring and evaluation on nation building. Now, we all understand that in today's world, the two things that are very, very maybe that exist in abundance today is probably like water and oxygen. So while preparing for this talk, I was trying to search and look at what is like intravenous fluid for the people in the health centers, how they are able to get this fluid into their system. And I discovered that about 500 ml of intravenous fluid, which constitutes about 99% of water, is sold at around 500 naira, averagely. In some hospitals, it's more than that. You can have like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 naira. Depends on but averagely, it's about 500 naira per 500 ml. 500, 1,000. Now, when you look at oxygen as well, for the people that cannot administer oxygen naturally, like you and I, so I checked that as well, and I discovered that it's about 1,000 naira per hour. So when you go to some of the clinics today, hospitals today, and ask around how much is oxygen per hour, it's about 1,000 naira. So when I do the calculation, I discovered that each and every one of us, we are owing the nation about 6 million naira per annum, averagely, minimum. We are owing the nation about 6 million naira per annum. That means that's actually a lot of things. So I was not thinking that, okay, now, if I am paying 6 million naira, let's say I have a family of 5. So somebody should help me calculate how much am I paying initial per annum? 6 million naira times 5. That's how much? That's 30 million naira. So if you are have a family of 5, you will probably be paying 30 million naira per annum for just oxygen and water. So that is averagely. I'm not talking about people that go to the expensive private hospitals and all that. So what that tells you is that, the nature has provided us abundance, oxygen and water. And some of us even waste all these things. We waste it, we waste water. Just on water, put on the water in the bedroom, the shower, and the thing just flow. Sometimes you want to make use of water in your kitchen, just keeps running and you don't even close it. We are not talking about all that one. We're just talking about the one in your body. We're not talking about the one you use to wash your clothes, the one you use to clean your laundries and all that. We're talking about the one that you administer, the one you take for your systems. So we are owing nature about over 6 million naira per annum. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that nature has given us abundance, oxygen, and water. Now, every other thing that we need in the world today the resources that we have across the world, both in Africa and every other part of the world, is available, right? Is available. Now, what is not available is because they are not in their raw form, like water and oxygen. Because when you look at it today, especially in Africa or Nigeria, a lot of people can actually take the water in their raw form and oxygen in their raw form, right? So, because you don't have like maybe heavy metals in the oxygen, whereby you cannot really take that kind of oxygen directly. You can still, like you and I now, we are taking this indirectly, right? Then people, when you go to the villages, or not even the villages, people use their borehole, especially in like a country like Nigeria, where you and I, we don't have access to the maybe government treated water. You use a borehole, right? People still drink their boreholes. So you go to some places on the mainland, people take their boreholes and they're actually okay, right? And when you go to all the villages, people go to the streams to fetch water there and they drink it. I remember when I was growing up, when I used to follow my grandpa to the farm. When we were coming back from the farm, we stopped by the river, it's very close to the house. We stopped there. You carry me on his bicycle. Then we just stop there and shower in the river, and sometimes we go to the middle of the river where the water flows very well. Then we take water, then we drink. Sometimes we fetch the water and take to the house. So today, people still go to the rivers to fetch water and drink, right? Yeah. So now, what am I trying to say is that we have so many resources that should be hidden human existence, but they are not available. And because of what? There's so many reasons why they're not available. People are contesting power. The nation, a nation is trying to like overrule another nation. There's so many things going on. Like Nigeria is blessed with abundant oil, right? Some are blessed with gold. Some are blessed with arable lands and all that. But still, these things are not available. Even in the country where we have the oil is not even available, allegedly, right? to the citizen that owns the arable land. So what happens when we begin to have this kind of conversation and we look at it that there are countries that since we are now in the fourth industrial revolution, in the 18th century that we have the first one to now, there are some countries of the world that are not really advancing like we expect them to advance. They are like behind. They are behind. Why some are leading countries? What happened? Why are all this happening? Right? You ask yourself, why are all this happening? Even despite the fact that you have all the resources, but why are they still lagging behind? Lagging behind, right? So these are the conversations that gave birth to the issue of monitoring and evaluation. And my first encounter with issue of monitoring and evaluation was in almost a decade ago. I was in Abuja then, and I was introduced to M&E Plan of South Africa. And I look at the document. It's a very big document. It was actually one of the books that we had to use as a materials for that studies. And I discovered that there are actually some countries in the world that had M&E Plan for how things should be done properly. And after that, I took some courses and certification in M&E. And I came to understand that some of the countries in the world that are having problems today is not because they don't have the resources. It's not because they cannot really be part of the leading countries. It's because some of them are lagging and they don't take serious the M&E Plan. Right? They don't take serious the M&E Plan. And what are the components of M&E Plan? Why does it matter? In 2021, World Bank did a project called CSDP. And I was part of that project. I came into that project and I discovered that this project really impacted the community social developmental projects, something like that, the meaning of the CSDP. You can give a Google, you can just get the accurate word on Google. So I was part of this project, and I discovered that what is actually about the project, World Bank gave small grants to communities to develop their maybe infrastructure like road, healthcare, and all that. And but the thing there is that governments cannot help them to do the project. It's the community that will do the project by themselves. So I was involved in a particular community, and the local government authority said, okay, give us this money, let's do this project for the community. Because the community said, no, we can do the project by ourselves. Now, what made that project to flourish is because M&E plan was very strong on that project, and there's something we call participatory monitoring and evaluation. So what it means is that if I'm doing a project for this audience now, and I said, okay, you know what, for me to get effective results from this project, I want some members of this audience to be part of the people that will monitor the projects. You understand? So when I said I want some of the members of this audience to be part of that project, it simply means that you are going to represent the larger audience, and you're going to hold the people that are doing the project accountable. That's just the meaning. So if the project doesn't go the way it should go, then the larger audience can now hold the people that are representing them accountable. Right? That, okay, you are part of the people that are monitoring this project. Why is the project going this direction when it should be going that direction? Do you understand? Now, that is one of the reasons why this topic is very, very important. I realize that we have over 500 agencies in Nigeria, cut across all the ministries. So over 500 agencies, government agencies, and parastatals in Nigeria. And when you look at it critically, you begin to ask yourself that why, and the funny thing is that all these agencies have budgets, are budgeted for, right? Every year in year, they are getting budgets to do one thing or the other. Then you begin to ask yourself, what is the impact? Where are the impacts? What impact are they making in the society? And why are the people still complaining? Right? So one of the reasons people are complaining today, because when I'm done with this topic today, many of you would like to, go and get certificates in M&E and begin to hold organizations accountable, because we are not even started in Nigeria. I can tell you that for free. We have not started. There's real opportunity in that space, and people are not looking to that direction. Last year I was talking I was training some lawmakers, and I told them about the importance of this federal lawmakers about this topic, and I saw the way they embrace it, and we are working on some projects right now regarding that M&E. So what am I saying is because over 500 agencies in Nigeria, cutting across ministries and parastatals. But what is lacking today is not because government is not talking about us. It's not really bringing budgets and all that. The key thing that is happening today in all these things is because M&E is lacking. It's really lacking. And you ask yourself, why are the people still complaining? So when you vote budgets or you plan money for a particular project or programs, who monitor these projects? Who are the people that get feedbacks, and what data are they using for these projects, and how are they making decisions? What informed decisions are they making from this data? Data-driven, evidence-based research, evidence-based data. What are they using to get their decision? And what performance? The last speaker talked about KPI. What performance have they gotten from the budget? So these are the conversations that nobody's talking about. So what happened is that when people vote money out for projects, people just focus on in fact, the funny thing is that people focus on the president for some responsibilities of governance and local government chairman. People are not asking the right questions. And I can tell you that in nation building, the two components of nation building is when people can actively ask the right questions. Because if you don't ask the right question, nobody's going to tell you, why are you not asking me this question? this is the question you're supposed to be asking me. They'll answer you questions, the question you ask them. They will only answer you the question you ask them. So if you are not asking the right questions, they will not, because you'll be happy. Ah, wow, this person is not even asking me this. I'm happy, you know. But when you begin to ask the right questions, you know, there are times that I've asked people right questions. I remember there was a time we were writing a book. I was part of a book project for the late Doing Okupe. And we were in the hall, we were in the City Heights Hotel beside the Sheraton. And we were having that conversation, about 15 consultants. I was part of that discussion. And he said, I have done, when you are talking about everything that happened during President Jonathan and President Obasanjo, I am one of the people that make this happen there. You know, he was talking, and I said, sir, but I would like to ask you a question, sir. Sir, what about the confab reports? What happened to the confab report? Why didn't you influence the implementation of confab reports? I had that questions. And he said, Abro, I will answer you, don't worry. And that was the end. He never answered that questions. So, you know, we need to start asking the right questions. So because if you don't ask the right questions, they are not going to tell us, please come and ask me this question. It's just like they're happy. They'll be happy. And one of the questions we need to be asking, I'm not talking to this audience alone, I'm talking to the global audience, is that we need to start asking right questions about monitoring and evaluation. What role are we playing in monitoring our general resources together, our collective resources? What role are we playing, and how are we monitoring our collective resources and budget and all that? So if you don't ask these questions, if you don't strategically position ourselves, it is going to be very, very difficult for us to migrate to the next generation. Now we are in the 21st century. We're actually in the beginning of the 21st century, right? Now, over the past centuries, this is the 4IR, Fourth Industrial Revolution, marked by IoTs, Internet of Things, Big Data, AI, and all that. So now, some people are planning, maybe in the next 10 years now, for when you go to some countries, you just sit down in your house. I think it's happening now. You just sit down in your house and request for Uber, driverless Uber. You just come to your house and pick you, or you just maybe come to your house, pick something and go and dispatch somewhere. You know. Now, if the world are talking about that, and we are just hearing that there's something that happened in maybe the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, the third one, that we were not part of that conversation because we were lagging behind. Now we are talking. The world is talking about 4IR, fourth industrial revolution now. And if we don't really stand up and begin to ask questions and begin to talk to our leaders, hold them accountable, and ask the right questions, we will still not be part of that conversation globally. So, what are the components of monitoring and evaluation, and how are these things applicable to the nation building? So, today I will just talk around this because it's a very deep topic. Just like the last speaker said, it's a topic we can still be talking, we can be discussing for like 30 days or more than that. But I just want to like scratch it in the face so that we can. I also want to steer the audience, their interest in M&E, so that at the end of this conversation, people can start talking, looking in that side, looking in that direction. What are the components of monitoring and evaluation? So, the component of monitoring and evaluations include actually about 12 components. I may not be able to speak about all the 12 components, but I'll just paraphrase around the 12 components. One of them is the M&E plan, the logical framework of M&E. You know, the structural implementation of M&E. So when you talk about that, you're talking about the units. As a matter of fact, one of the suggestions is that if we have M&E units in all our agencies, now what you see today is not even an M&E. When you go to government agencies, you say, monitoring, the monitoring are coming, they are coming. Is that it's not just like somebody just sit down and said, okay, you just sit down here and do M&E. That is not M&E. M&E is just like somebody that is, a vehicle is going this direction. Somebody is antagonizing that direction at the other side. That if you are going this direction, I want to keep you on track. Then if you are going too fast, I want to pull you back. If you are going too slow, I want to push you. Right? That is the work of an M&E. So most of the times they are not, and they should not be in alignment with the people that are working. Because they are meant to checkmate the real project and the people that are implementing the project. But what do we see today in some of all these agencies is that they are lying with them, that everybody is working together. And that is why you don't have it. Now, one other thing you've also seen, and you must have been hearing about, is you've heard about House Committee on probably on every vital issues around our nation today. You heard about House Committee on this, House Committee on that. That also, when you look at it critically as well, they are not also performing optimally to checkmate some of these agencies. They are not really working effectively to say, okay, we voted this budget for these programs and projects. How come these things are not done? Or how did we, what is the performance of these budgets on all these things? We don't have that. So at the end of the day, you don't even have that. And now, as an expert in that field, one of my recommendations is that at the stage we have right now, the CSOs need to also stand up. The CSOs are the civil society organization, which comprise journalists, the NGOs, the people that are the humanitarian people. They need to stand up. Students and the youth and all that. They need to stand up and also be involved in M&E work. Are we together? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
The CSOs need to be part of M&E work, because that is the only way we can move the country forward. If you are not part of the M&E work conversation, if you are not part of them, you cannot really see and how you can keep these people on track and how you can really influence or make impacts. So, but if you are part of this participatory approach, I talked about it the other time, it's very, very key. So, most of the units of the government, M&E need to be established, maybe to be overseen. And for me, the M&E should either constitute of a CSOs, that is participatory. If you are going to do water for me, for a community, I should be part of the people that will monitor that. Some of my people in that community should be part of the people that will monitor that project. So that you don't just do something for me. At the end of the day, say you spend 1 billion naira, and I cannot see the impact of 100 million, right? So if I'm part of that, and I say, oh, we are going to spend this money, why can't you spend half of it and do this? And you are part of it. And if you are a representative of that community, and you also align, you don't speak out when you're supposed to, the community will come and hold you accountable because they know you are representing them, right? So these are the things we need to start talking about for us to move the nation forward. And if we don't start talking about this thing, nobody's going to. I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again. If you are not asking the right question, they will not ask. They won't tell you to please come and ask me the right question. Nobody will say that. They will be happy. They'll be happy. Just like when you, I remember back then when I was in the university, I got to the class very late because of where I came from. So they had already done about 1 month, and they were doing this topic I can't forget that topic. You call it binary operation in mathematics. So I did further maths when I was in secondary school. So we just theory I did further maths when I was in secondary school. So I did all this topic, calculus and all that. So when I got to the university, my first year, so people were just going around. I said, someone even advised me that please, you know what, don't waste your money, because people that are here that even came before you, they are struggling with some of these topics. if you come and sit down and you're just going to waste your money, please don't just waste your money. What I would advise is just go and wait till the next session so that I can join them. I said, what are they? Let me even see the topic they're doing. I saw that, okay, everybody was very busy going around with this textbook we call, forget the name of the textbook. They were going around with that textbook then, for our textbook. I said, okay, so it's because of this, don't worry, I think I can still cope with these topics. So let's go there. So I was in a class one day when one of the lecturers said, excuse me, can any one of you give me an impression in the class? We have over 2,000 students, a big auditorium hall then. And I stood up, I said, yes, everybody was very silent. I said, this guy that just came in yesterday wants to embarrass himself. He wants to stand up and answer questions he doesn't even know. And I stood up and I said, okay, I can answer that question. And the lecturer said, yes, please, can you tell me? And I said, okay, I'm going to give you about 2 or 3 binary operations. Multiplication is one of them, addition, then I think I mentioned subtraction or something. I said, okay, right, yes, please clap for him. And that day, I tell you, before the end of the class, I had a lot of friends. In the class. So, why am I bringing this in is because if you don't have the right questions, you won't know when to come in and you won't know when it's coming. You need to start asking the right questions. If you don't ask these right questions, people are not going to tell you to ask them the right questions. So this is one of the key. Then another one is that human capacity. Like I said, we're just scratching the surface in Nigeria. We have not even started. And back as almost 10 decades ago, a decade ago, when I did the course in the M&E, we used South Africa as a case study of an M&E, and we were exposed to their M&E plan. It was a very, very rich document, very big document. And I look at it and say, wow, they had plan of monitoring every agencies, every ministry, every of their projects. They have a plan, like I think 20 or 30 years plan. So that keep everybody on the track. So if you are not doing it this way, then you call the M&E are going to call them the department of M&E in South Africa today is headed by a woman. You can check it online. It's headed by a woman. And you know, women, when they want to do something, they are very, very strong people, you know. All the women in the house, please clap for yourself. So they are very strong people. So M&E is very key. You need to have a human capacity, M&E. So the people that are going to be monitoring this project and all that, how capable are they? Have they built capacity in M&E? Do they know what M&E is all about? So these are one of the components. Then M&E partners. Who are the partnerships in M&E? Who are the partners in M&E? Who are the people that can, the departments that can come together to like form like a coalition or like a consortium? Then you look at it that maybe audit departments, can they come together? Can they work together? Can somebody, you know, sit down strategically? Because these things, I can tell you very, 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 very critically that the international world, or let me say the Western world, they don't joke with it. And that's one of the reasons why they are progressing today very, very aggressively. It's because they understood the impact of M&E in their daily activities, in their national building, in their nation building, right? So if we also must grow, if we must move forward, we need to take it very serious, the M&E. Then we talk about M&E plans. What's M&E plans? Then how are you able to like connect the dots, the objectives? What do you want to achieve using the M&E? By the end of 2030, we want to see 85% of Nigerians out of poverty. Let's say that's our goal, right? Today, according to data, I don't want to say, we all can check the number of Nigerians in poverty, right? So, if government say they want to like take Nigerians out of poverty, and that is their objectives and their goals, so as their plan, so they need to start working on it. What are the indicators? What are the objectives? What are the outputs, inputs, outcomes they are going to put in place to make sure that they have these things done. And that 2030, you see that at least 85% or something around 85% is out of poverty. What are the metrics they're going to put in place to make sure that this thing is done? So these are the M&A plan. In M&A plan, we call it logical framework, log frame. So how these things are going to work interwovenly, how they're going to connect one another is called logical framework. So if they do that also, then the data is very key in monitoring and evaluation, because today, in today's world, especially in our country today, there's these discrepancies about this thing has been done. No, it has not been done. We have done this for the, and people say, oh wow, how come? Government will say they spent this social amount of money on a particular thing, and people will say, how does it happen? Please, blah blah, and people start asking questions. And one of the things that cannot lie is data. If data says number of people are here seated today, everybody can quickly do the counting and say, oh okay, this is the number of people in the audience today. So data cannot lie. Data cannot lie. So data, evidence-based data cannot lie. Data is very key in monitoring and evaluation. So most of the nations of the world that are progressing, they don't joke with data. So data and data collection and data management, they are some of the components of M&E. So how to keep all this data, how to collect this data, and how to keep the data on track, maybe periodically, monthly, weekly, annually, quarterly, these are the things that makes M&E work. I'm just giving us, a summary of, and I'm also trying to stimulate our interest in M&E, so that at the end of this conversation today, and at the end of this program, some people can say, oh, okay, we are standing. I look at some passionate people that really want our country to move forward. And I begin to see them, I begin to ask that if many people can direct their activities, their energy towards this M&E, by now we have gone so far. Because the truth of the matter is money is actually involved, budgets are created and all that. But one of the key things that is lacking is because nobody monitors all these things. So every year people roll out money for project that has been done over and over, and nobody's asking the questions. Nobody's asking that, why are the people monitoring this? That, can you give us data of last year? Can you give us the performance of last year compared to this year? Why are we performing 40% last year and we are performing 30% this year? Nobody's asking all these questions, So data is very key in monitoring and evaluation. Then another thing is the database, right? Just like data. So data and databases. Database, how do we really take care of our database? In such a way that who are the people that can access the data? Can ordinary citizen access the database, and say, okay, now this is the data on this particular topic, and this is. And also another important thing I want to discuss today is about the attitude of Nigerians. Most of Nigerians really don't do research as such. Despite the fact that we can even do anything, can even do research using our phone. Majority of people rather go on TikTok and all that and just enjoy themselves there, where we can really use our phone to do research. Simple research we don't do. So sometimes they know that we are also having deficiency in this area, so they hide some things on the internet, and that's why you have the likes of like budgets that comes and tell you that this is a budget of government. Budget is actually an NGO in Nigeria, funded by Shewoni Billions, some other guys there. So, and you see, this is a project, this is a budget of Nigeria, but we are now coming with an infographics to tell you story around the budget, and they begin to tell you that this budget didn't perform or not. They like using graphics and others to tell us story about it. Now they bring some of these things out from the database of government. You bring it out from the government budget. So when you go to government website today, you can actually see a lot of data. Like databases are there, But those things are there. In fact, if you are going through all those databases, you'll just be tired. Like, please, I'm tired. Some people are spending money. What's my own? Checking through how they're spending this money. Let me leave it, Now, that is not how nation is built, We need to take that painful step of really make sure that we are also part of this conversation. We are part of this, the whole idea of how our data are being managed and how our data are being used all the time, so that we can really move the country forward. Another thing is that I want to talk about is the project management. Like when you look at Nigeria today, it's like a project, or every other country like a project. The only thing that you cannot say that is part of project today that is not part of nation building is closure, because you can't say, okay, you want to close Nigeria, or Nigeria is closed, or another country is closed, which is in project management. Closure is part of the components. The initiation of that project, the planning, the roadmap and execution, the monitoring and evaluation, then closure. But what you can have in times, instead of closure, are we together? Ladies and gentlemen, are we together? So one of the things we can have is that, just like I said earlier, that this is the fourth industrial revolution, right? That was the fourth one, the 18th century to the early 19th century, early 19th century to the early 20th century, and right now we are at the fourth industrial revolution. You can look at it that, okay, in the next, looking at that data, maybe in the next 100 years, let's say, because 1760 to 1840 is how many years? That's about 80 years, right? 80 years, right? And so, okay, these 80 years, let's divide it into two. Every 40 years, we want to see how, or every 30 years, we want to see how our roadmap, how our planning, how our focus can be amended. So we can say, okay, in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years, we must have achieved these things in our country. We must have achieved this in our country. For instance, today Nigeria is giving out interest at about over 26% interest, while some countries are doing 0.5, 0.75. Countries like Japan are doing less than 1% in their interest rates per annum, while we are doing around 26%, right? And I think UK and US are doing also way lower than us. Then we can say that in the next 5 years, we want to be doing 15% interest, so that if you and I go to bank to get a loan of 1 million naira, you will not be paying about 200,000 naira, as interest per annum on a loan. So maybe you'll be paying like 10% of 1 million is how much? That's 100,000 naira. Then maybe like you'll be paying like maybe 20 or 30,000 naira, right, per annum. So we can look at it as, okay, this is what I want to do for Nigeria, so that every Nigerian can have access to funds and do these things. It's about betterment of the country. So if you are going to do that for the country in the next 5 years, then it must have impacts on the people. So after the 5 years, if you are getting like loan of 5 million naira or 10 million naira to do one or two things, maybe to help your idea or your initiatives, and you know that when you use this money judiciously, your initiative can scale, can grow, then you can also begin to, doing well for yourself and for your family. And by doing so, take Nigerians away from poverty. You have, maybe by doing so, you may probably be taking about 50% or 20% of Nigerians from poverty. So these are the strategical way of taking people out of poverty. It's a deliberate and calculated way of doing it. It's not something that you just wake up and say, or by just praying it out that we're going to pray that this thing will happen. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It's something that has to be done deliberately, calculatively. You have to do it deliberately. Because if you don't do it that way, you are not going to achieve what you need to achieve. So the planning is very important and very key in nation building. So you must have a goal, you must have a target, you must have a time frame of why you want this, what you want to happen within that time frame. Maybe it's 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years, or 50 years. You need to have that time frame for what you want to achieve with M&E. So when you now have that that kind of conversation that, okay, in the next 40 years, I want to see Nigerian borrowing money at 5 or 10% interest rates. What are the things to put in place? How am I going to monitor that? What are the indicators to use to monitor all these things? And what are the things I'm going to do? Am I going to increase the budget of the maybe CBN or something, or people that give out money, or maybe SPEDAN or all that? Am I going to partner with some of these financial institutions and tell them that, okay, for SMEs, give them loan at this particular interest rates? So when you begin to have that deliberately and intentionally, and you are monitoring it, it's not just about saying it. That's why we're having problem. People say a lot of things, people tell you this and that, but we will not monitor it. And that is where we're having problem. And the citizens also are not really helping the matter. But when we begin to say, no, wait a minute, they said this is going to happen and it's not happening. Who is monitoring this? Right? We begin to see the changes that we all want in our society. So let's talk about then the planning and the roadmap. The planning and the roadmap. What planning are we going to put in place? Who is going to do what? How are they going to do it? These are the planning and the roadmap. What kind of logical framework am I going to put in place to monitor the objectives, the goals, and what indicators am I going to use to make sure that this thing is well articulated and well monitored? These are the roadmap we're talking about when it comes to monitoring and evaluation. Today, I want to put this question to everybody in the house today, that for everybody in the house today, and people that are watching me online, what are the metrics? What are the metrics that you put in place for yourself to monitor your own personal growth? Do you have anything like that? Do you checkmate yourself? Do you have people that watch over you that say, okay, if I do this thing wrong, for maybe like a couple, the wife can be if I spend above this money, if I have 10 million naira in my account and I'm spending 3 million in a month, please call me back. Ask me questions. Check me. Monitor me. Evaluate me. Right? If I have in a year, if I'm sleeping or if I'm not meeting up my maybe deliverables in every week, now I need to sit down. Maybe I will not go and watch Arsenal match that weekend. I will not go and watch Chelsea match. You understand? I will not go and watch La Liga, Real Madrid and all that. So you can put that as a checkmate for yourself. So that these are the things that these are very serious conversations that you are not looking at. So because if you cannot really monitor yourselves, if I am having 1 million in my account, for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to hang out anywhere. I hang out in my bedroom, right? I sleep in my bedroom and I just stay with myself. Instead somebody's taking me out, and I make it clear to you, if you are taking me out today, I'm not going to spend any money because I don't have today. Make it known to the persons. Now, these are the things, these are the metrics, these are the KPIs we put in place to checkmate yourself if you don't begin to do all these things, right, then you cannot really monitor your progress. And you look at it, okay, in the next 12 months, I need to get this certification. I need to upskill, right? I need to upskill. I need to get this certification. I need to increase my knowledge. I need to learn. I need to unlearn. Maybe I learn 3 and unlearn 2. Maybe I unlearn 3 and learn 2. What are the new things? And it's just all about following the trends personally, because M&E is also good personally. It starts from you. If you cannot really sit down and monitor your own progress, you cannot monitor anything. So, and some people, Nigerians, sometimes you don't like to be asked questions. When you're asking people questions, they don't like it, but they like to ask you questions. How did you spend this thing? Can you give me this? But when you begin to ask them that question, they're not happy. They're not happy. People want to ask questions, but they don't like to be asked questions. But you need to ask yourself questions first. It's a culture that we need to start developing. So if we all agree that I can ask people questions and they can also ask me questions without offense, then we are ready for the change. But if you cannot do that, my brother, my sisters, we still have a long way to go. Right? Right? Are we together in the house? If you are together in the house, I want a clap. Just one clap. If you are not clapping, you are wrong. I want a clap. I want a clap. So, if you cannot check the progress of yourself, if you cannot be together, if you cannot say, okay, I want to monitor my own progress by myself, and maybe if you have a son that is very smart, you can say, okay, anytime you see me do these things, call my attention. Never mind whether I'm your father or I'm your mommy, call my attention back and said, Daddy, this thing you said you are not going to do it, you are doing it. Monitor me. Right? That is when you can now really effect the changes. I once know a man, I was sitting down, Philadelphia said, there was time he said, if I do some things, I think I remember that the children can call him to order and say, or the family can say, Daddy, you did this. And I like that. I like that. So you don't need to wait for that. You can also do it for yourself. Right? If I don't meet up this task, I will not go and watch Arsenal match this weekend. No Arsenal match for me. I need to sit down and do what I need to do. I have a slide of 3 topics I need to prepare for maybe next week or so. I've only done 2 this week. This weekend, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not hanging out. I have to sit down and make sure I finish this task. Right? There are tools like Trello that monitor the progress on some of these ERP or tools on the online that can use to monitor some of these things that I'm talking about. Then you talk about the execution of the projects, of your projects. Now, the execution of your projects is very important. I'm talking about project management, right? Because in project management, that is where you have monitoring and evaluation. But a lot of people are silent about it. Then you see monitoring and evaluation as something that's just part of it. No. Monitoring and evaluation is just like when something is moving in a direction, another force, another equal and opposite force is moving in another direction. Do you understand that? So such a way that if you are moving this way, right, another force is there at the other side that's ready to make sure that you are on track. If you are not on track, you are going this way, the force pull you back and say, this is where you are supposed to move. That's M&E. That's simply M&E. So it's not just about saying that we are going to do this thing for the people. Okay, fine. You want to do it for us. That's fine. That's fantastic. We are clapping for you. Everybody clap for you. We clap for you. But who is going to monitor that? Who is going to make sure that in the next 5 years that you promise that you're going to do that thing, it's actually after 5 years and you will do it? Who will do that for us? And today we have so many talks around M&E, but really, when I look at it from the expert view, I say we're just playing. It's just that because they are just a caricature of the real M&E work. People are not really doing the work. They're not doing the work. People are not doing the work. They're just saying the talk because the world is talking about it. And this idea of the world talking about something, we also jump into it and start talking about it. It's not going to work. Will not really give us. So we, the younger generation, the people that are coming, they need to understand the impact of M&E in their daily activities, in nation building, and how to go forward in our nation. But if you don't know that, if you don't really take it serious, we are not going to move anywhere. We won't go anywhere. I can bet you, we are not going anywhere. But M&E is very, 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 very. I've seen it working. I've done projects with developmental partners, and the M&E is what actually made it work, right? So if you don't do it, then in the project management also, another component is the real M&E, right? Now I'm not going to talk more about that M&E, but I want to talk about the closure of the project management. Like I said earlier, closure means that when you are doing a project, right, you just say that, okay, after everything, this project is coming to an end. We are going to close this project so that we can prepare for another project. Are we together? We can prepare for another project. But in terms of nation building, you cannot say, we have done this thing, let's close Nigeria down. No. What you can do is that you can do review. You can do review. Okay, that every 20 years, we are going to, that review, that ending of that, the first review is like closure. So in the project management of a thing, when you conceptualize and bring it and export it to the project management, in nation building, that closure really means review. You sit down and say, okay, let's sit down together and review the whole of these things. That's what are the objectives, what are the goals that we have set out for ourselves in these particular years. Are we able to achieve this? If you have not, what are the constraints that we experience in the course of doing this? Then we can now sit down together and say, oh, okay, let's look at it together. In the next phase, let's see how we can work around these things to make sure that we don't experience the constraints we had in the last review. So that is where the closure is. That's where we need to replace the closure with review. Do you understand now? So review is very important. Review, then you move forward, because you cannot stop. You cannot stop the M&E. It's continuous. It's continuous. Even when you grow old. When you grow old, I was reading something of recent, and somebody said in some country like this, Switzerland, there's something we call time bank. Time bank. How many of you have heard about time bank before? Time bank. Bank. Like, in some Western world where you have people don't really, it's not everything is all about money. People invest their time so that when they grow old, so some other people can also come and invest their time in you. I read a story about one old woman. I think the woman was around 60 year old, between 60 and 17 thereabouts. And the woman will use every 2 hours, I think per week, to go and serve an older person who is about 80 years old, to go and take care of the person, stay with the person, and they will record it. The system will record it for her, that you are spending 2 hours to take care of this person. So that is time bank. And the reason why is that when you now grow old and you need somebody to come and take care of you, even if your kids are not around, they will send somebody to you, the system will send somebody to you to also come and stay with you and take care of you. Then you withdraw from your time bank. So if you have, let's say, if you have spent maybe like, you have invested about maybe like 20 hours, no, let's say 100 hours in the last maybe 3 years into your time bank, and maybe you now need somebody to come and stay with you and take care of you for 5 hours. The system will withdraw 5 hours from your time bank. You send somebody to you, so you don't need your system, even if your children are not around, you don't need somebody and they will take care of you and be with you. Of course, maybe at that time you don't even need money to, maybe the insurance is there running on you. So it's not the money now. But you need somebody to come and cater for you, right? To come and be with you, and that person also is investing time, right? So if we understand how all these things happens in the world, in the Western world, then we begin to know that the world has really advanced, and we need to catch up with some of these things, some of these talks around the world. But if you don't really do that, how are we going to evolve? These are the part of the conversations today. When you check the life expectancy of Nigerians today, it's less than 60-year-old. It's about 55 years old or thereabouts, right? And some countries of the world are doing 85. They are doing 85 averagely. I mean, if you die below 85, people are going to mourn, are going to be crying like baby. This person just passed. It at 85, whereas some countries are celebrating at 85. But averagely, people are dying. So it's a result of how we have evolved. It's a result of how we are able to manage the evolution, the industrial revolution that's happening. That is happening. So if some countries are going, we need to look at them. What are the things that's making them to grow in that direction? Why some countries are lagging behind? What are the things? And just like I said, I've identified one of the key reasons is that it's not because we don't have the resources. I started by saying that oxygen and waters are abundant. And everything that human needs in the world is available. Nature made it available for everybody. But how we are able to manage these resources, how we are able to distribute just imagine that somebody is just camping all the oxygen in the world today and selling it small. Is it possible, right? Can that be possible? Somebody just corner all the oxygen in the world today and maybe divide it among themselves like 20 people or let's say 1,000 people. So you have this oxygen, you're selling this small to your country. Is that possible? Can that be possible? Or if somebody said that, okay, all the waters in the world today, pack everything together and divide it among 2,000 people. Just be giving that to people small. Does it make sense? So everything is abundant. So likewise, all the other resources that need to support human existence, they are in abundance. Talk about gold, talk about oil, talk about all the natural resources. That is why, Nigeria today, a lot of things is going on that we don't even understand about our resources. Because we have it in abundance. But even the citizens don't even understand what is going on. Do you understand? Do you understand? Many people don't understand what is going on. People are asking questions like, what is going on with our resources? We, the owner, we don't even understand what is going on. We don't understand. Do you understand? And the reason is very simple. Everybody is keeping quiet. We, the owner of our resources, we are not monitoring our resources. We are not asking the right questions. Right? We are not asking the right questions. So, everything that human need to support their existence is available. The only thing is to refine it. Refining, and make it available for the people to use. Right? All the materials used in building cars is from the nature, right? See the metals, you see the batteries, you see the hydrochloric acid or H2SO4 that is in the battery. You see what they're using to do to build the screen, windscreen, and all the other things. The same thing with the aircraft. All these things are from the soil, right? When you look at all this building around now, you see the woods. All these things are from the soil. So it's available, but it needs to be refined and distributed equally. Now, if we have all these things in abundance, and we need to distribute it equally, or at least for people to have access to it. So, who is monitoring this distribution? That is the simple work of monitoring. So we now say that, okay, let's assign a leader so that these leaders can make sure that this thing we have gets to everybody. But when you get there, are you going to do what we ask you to do? Then who's going to monitor that you do it? That's another problem. Who's going to monitor that you do what we ask you to do? So it's really, really very important. The issue of monitoring and evaluation is very, very key and very, very important. We cannot underestimate the importance of monitoring, and we cannot overemphasize it. Because in today's world, And when you look at some of the countries that are lagging behind, it's because they're just taking it with levity. And the citizens, that's my concerns. They're not really worried about it. They're not asking that questions. Who's monitoring the budget performance? You said you spent 3 trillion last year. Okay, how did it perform? What was the performance, overall budget performance? Did we perform up to 40%? Okay, nobody is asking about that. Okay, another one is coming next year. They roll it out, and people also share money. So what is the performance? What are the KPIs? What are the indicators that show that the budget really performed? Who are the people that monitored it? What are the data? What is the data saying? The people that are supposed to disseminate information, maybe the agents of national orientation or so, are they really giving us that information as well? Who's asking them questions that, okay, did you tell us that this is the performance of our budget? Who's asking those questions? Activists, are the activists also asking the right questions? Or are they just fighting online? We need to ask ourselves all these questions. Very, very critical. Because if you don't do it, it's a very simple thing. If you are not asking me the right question, I will not say, please come and ask me a question. I'll be happy. Just like the lecturer that just finished his class and said, any question? At the back of that lecturer is asking, let them not ask me a question, I want to go. Alright? Any questions? Do you have any question for me? At the back of it, except a few lecturers really are passionate about what they do. These people, I've been talking since, I want to go. Any questions? I know you don't have questions, because if you have any question, you can call your HOC, they will talk to me, you can, and they will go, because they're happy, they don't want you to ask questions. But when you see a stubborn student like me and say, sir, you said this thing before, why is it like that? Please explain to us. And the lecturer will begin to answer questions and all that. So we need to get to that point as people. We need to get to that point as Nigerians if you're really, really serious about this conversation. And I'm not talking to only this audience. Now, one of the reasons why I even want to take this topic is because it's very, very important. I've been looking at how to tell the whole world about these things in our country. And for anybody that really matters to listen, or anybody that wants to, that is passionate about nation building, is one of the topics they need to listen to. It's one of the topics they need to take seriously. Because if they don't take it seriously, we are not ready to move forward. If they don't take it seriously, we are not ready to evolve as a nation. If they don't take it seriously, we'll keep lagging behind. Even when we do the 5th industrial revolution, we'll still be there. I'll just be hearing it that we see these things, we just be looking at it on the TikTok, on the Instagram, that something like this is happening in another world. Well, you cannot see it in your own country because the country is lagging behind in that evolution. The country is lagging behind in the evolution. And what makes it to lag behind is not because they don't have the resources. They have the resources to implement it. They have the resources to make it happen. But nobody is monitoring how these things have been done. I'm talking to everybody today, and I want the whole world to understand that one of the key elements, one of the key components of nation building is monitoring and evaluation. Without monitoring and evaluation, the country cannot move forward. Without monitoring and evaluation, we cannot achieve the required change that we want to achieve. Without monitoring and evaluation, we cannot go forward. Without monitoring and evaluation, our country will still be crying for help. So, let's talk small about industrial revolution, like I said earlier. Between 17, 16, and 1840 was the first industrial revolution. And we all can see what happened then. Now, the third one, we talked about energy. The third industrial revolution, that was 1969. That's towards the 20th century, right? That's like late 20th century. What happened then? the involvement of biotechnology. Today, should we have this conversation about DNA? Yes. Do we have conversation about it? Do we talk about it? DNA. DNA actually evolved in like 1969. People start talking about it because of the research and biotechnology involvement. Because bioinformatics and all that came to be as a result of is what gave birth to issues like DNA, this food that people don't want to eat. Can somebody remind me? This food that people they don't like to consume. Remind me. Nobody can remind me. The food that people say they cannot really consume. So it is as a result of biotechnology. Now people are talking about paternity fraud and all that because of biotechnology, right? Now, without biotechnology, the paternity fraud and all that will still have been possible still. And talk about research, energy, nuclear energy. Those are the key components of the third industrial revolution. Now, this industrial revolution is the fourth one. It's characterized by internet, right? The information, ability to search for information. I remember in the early around 2000, early 2000, the lecturer was like, how come people can just get, those days when you go to library to search for that, you pack like 50 journals. How many of you understand what I'm trying to say? Please, a show of hands. You pack like 50 journals and you'll be searching, you'll be looking at this one. You take your book, you'll be writing. By the time you finish like this in the library, your journals will be like this. Those days, because there's no internet. There's no internet for you to just Google, like Google Scholar and all that. You don't have that opportunity. But now, what do we have? We have internet. And internet is not stopping there. People are not saying, okay, we have internet. I remember when we started using phone, right? I like, will it be possible for me to be seeing somebody calling me in another country? I was just thinking, how can I would love it. I would like it if somebody can call me and I'll be looking at the person. I was just imagining it in my imagination that how beautiful will it look like. I'm hearing this person for it, but how beautiful I can just see the person, see the environment. Before you know what, it happens due to technology, 4G network and all that. So it makes it happen. Telecommunication evolve and all that. So it happens. Now you can go to map and see the streets of other countries, right? Because of the internet. And it's not stopping there. It's not stopping there. People are not talking about AI. In fact, yesterday I took some quiz about how to identify real image and AI image, and I didn't get it. I think I got 50% or so. I couldn't identify real image and AI image because it looks so alike. The quiz will ask you to identify if it's AI image or real image, And I took the quiz, and at the end of the day I got I think 50 or something. Later I did it again, and I said, oh, this time around I will just pick everything as AI. That's how I got 73% second time. But I know that, that's to tell you the world we are living. And beautiful things are still coming, right? Because we are still at the early year of 21st century. We are the 21st century, we are the early. When we get to like maybe 2050, we say we are the mid 21st century. Then, by the time we get to like 2070, 2060, we are the late 21st century, right? When I get to 2100, we begin the 22nd century, right? That's how it's being calculated. So we are now, we are not in the 21st, we are 2026, right? But we are already at 21st century. because we are targeting that 24th century. That's how they calculate it. Now, many things are going to happen before the end of this century. Many things. You'll be surprised that maybe by then, many of us in this room will not be there. You'll be surprised that maybe in the next 2030 or 2050 now, you just want to go and see your friend. Just maybe sit down on a drone and just fly you in 30 seconds or 30 minutes instead of using cars. Because research are going on. And the worlds are not waiting for anybody that cannot catch up. Nobody's waiting for anybody. Right? They are not going to wait for you. People are going to the space now. Me, I want to go to space one day to go and see what is going on there. Right? I want to go there and see what is going on there. Right? I want to go there. Because anytime I'm in the plane, it amaze me. This is beautiful, you know. But when you now go to the space, I want to see what's going on there. I want to experience what's it called? Without force of gravitation. Force of gravity. I want to be explosive floating, so that from there I can float to that place, be floating area. Maybe in the next 30 years now, that's how people will be going to the Mars easily. Just like, bro, I want to go and eat. I want to go and do weekend in the Mars. You know, maybe that's what we're going to have. But if your country is not doing what they are supposed to do, bro, you'll just be listening to it. You'll not even experience it. That's why we're talking about M&E. So that all our money, all the resources we have, they can channel it towards what they are supposed to use it for. And they are not going to do it if you and I are not asking the right question. That is my conversation, and that is why I'm saying it again, so that it can sink into our head and our head. As a matter of fact, at the end of this talk today, I want so many people to be interested in that M&E work. I say, I want to also be part of this conversation. Anytime they're talking about M&E, my ear is always opened. I want to know what's going on. What are they going to say about it? In fact, they say, wait behind. If you're interested in M&E, I'll wait behind. Because I know the importance. So, if you are not, if the same way our fathers didn't enjoy the first, second, third revolution, industrial revolution, the same way we are not going to enjoy the fourth and fifth industrial revolution if we don't begin to ask that questions. That is my argument. Do you understand? That is my argument. If we don't begin to ask that questions, the same way our fathers, our grandparents didn't enjoy the fourth. Do you know those years when they were using how many years when they started using telephone in countries like US, Japan and all that, before we even start smelling it in Nigeria? You understand? Right? And now robots are doing wonderful in China and all that. Technology is growing rapidly. We're just smelling it right now. They're even asking us, why are you guys not having lights? Why are you not having lights in Nigeria? Because you have enough sun. You have sun that can help you, solar. And they're asking us, by now, if country like China's were to be like Nigeria, nobody will be suffering for lights. But like, okay, government is not responsible in giving you guys light. Don't worry. We have sun. Actually, you can. People are also talking about using water now, so steam to generate light. How many people had it? Okay, so they were like, since government is not really helping in distributing how many megawatt are we even generating? It's not enough, right? They will say that, okay, we have sun now, right? So solars, it says even our gas are using solar to power their. So how much more you and I, right? So if we can begin to use solar to power our day-to-day activities and all that, it's possible we can do that, right? Because of the technology and because the resources that need to be used judiciously are being used. I was having a conversation with one of my friends in Europe of recent about a particular project they were supposed to do in solar, and he said, part of Europe, one of the work they do is that they go to house to house and ask. They have light already in Europe. That friend was telling me. He said they have light, but they still come to you just in case there is power outage so that you can have support. It's not that they don't have light like Nigeria. They have. But just the support. So what they do is that they go to house, they have grant already, they have money already. They have funds for that project already. So what they do is that they go to them, and their own research is to go looking for people that they want to support with solar. So that at any point, maybe when your electricity stop working, you can just back on that solar as an alternative, not even the main one. That's what they're doing. Now, just like I said earlier, that if you don't begin to ask the right questions, we will see other countries enjoying the fourth industrial revolution. We will not enjoy it, right? And that is it. You can imagine all the smaller countries around us are enjoying 24 hours light, at least 20, 21 hours light, electricity. Are we enjoying 15? If you're enjoying up to 15 hours electricity, please show of hands. You're enjoying it. I want to be like you when I grow up. Instant. So what does that tell you? By now, if we have alternative, which is solar, every house now, why are we not having that? The Ministry of Energy and all the other agencies or parastatals in charge of all this energy, what are they doing to make sure that average citizens can afford at least 15 to 20 hours of electricity? Nigeria speak to the world. We are speaking to the world right now. And I said earlier that one of the reasons why nation building is very effective is because when the cities begin to speak and begin to ask the right questions, that is when the nation building will materialize. But if you don't ask the right questions, if you don't speak as you should be speaking, and if you don't ask the right questions, nobody's going to do anything. Everything just remain status quo. So, to all my audience, both here and the global audience that are listening to me today, it is very important, especially if you're in Nigeria, that you take the issue of collective monitoring of our product, of our resources, collective monitoring of our resources, you take it very seriously. From the local government level, to the state government level, and to the federal government level, and to all the arms of the government, to the executive, legislation, and judiciary also. We need to take it very seriously, because if we don't take that seriously, we will not move forward. We will not move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm running up right now, but before I leave the podium, I also want to say something. I started by saying that oxygen and waters are the two resources that we have in abundance in Nigeria. And I said, if we are going to calculate what we are owing nature annually, how much are we owing? Can we remember? How much are we going per head? That is what. Yeah? How much are we going per head? When we did the calculation, right? I say we are owing nature at least 6 million naira per annum for your oxygen and the water you consume that runs in your body systems and the oxygen you are taking. Just only that. We are not talking about the water you use to wash your clothes and the oxygen you use to light your cylinder or something. We are not talking about that one. We are talking about the one you inhale and the one you take. You are owing nature at least averagely 6 million naira per annum, because it's in abundance. So everything that we need that is needed to support the human existence, everything that is needed to support human existence is available. And one of the reasons why we are not having it is because sometimes we call it leadership, sometimes we can also call it in this what do we call it now? We can also call it the inactiveness of the followers. not doing the right things, not asking the right questions. You understand? That is one of the reasons why we are not enjoying this in abundance. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is very key. We begin to, as I leave this podium today, I want us to start ruminating about the topic of monitoring and evaluation, starting from you personally, how you checkmate your life, how you control, how you evaluate and monitor your own life, the life of your family, the life of the people at your workspace. I mean, your task at workspace, and how you now export this culture into nation building. Because collectively, we need to build our nation. And monitoring and evaluation is one of the key components that cannot be overemphasized. So thank you very much as I give the passing to the next speaker.
Alright, that's a very good and explicit one for me. Thank you very much, sir. Wow. I'll start by asking or stating this statement. Everyone seated here, we are actually in existence because something happened, and also because some other things did not happen. I don't know if you get that statement. Everyone seated here, you are alive today, or you are in existence because something did not happen, and also because some other thing happened. And I said that to say that, there have always been this aspect where we often ignore, but it's actually a key aspect of our life. And before I go fully into my topic, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Kaida Mdedamilari. I'm a graduate of University of Guiness, and officially today I'll be speaking from my course of study. I'll be speaking as an health educator to everyone here. And I want you to marry your book with your pen, because you'll be learning a lot. You'll be learning a lot, especially for the female gender. You'll be learning a lot. I'll be talking about menstruation and menstrual hygiene, menstruation and menstrual hygiene. You might look at it as, it's something I've heard of, it's something I'm used to, but I'm going to be giving some key things you might have not, heard of. And if you're even a guy, you're a boy or something, or a man, let me use that word, I'll be giving you some of the core tips, or some of the things you're supposed to know, that, when you're interacting with a lady and she's telling you, oh, I'm in my, menstrual period or something, you can really give not just a knowledgeable advice, but an healthy advice to the person. So when we talk about menstruation, is it the same thing as menstrual cycle? Or is there a difference between menstruation and period itself? Now, when you hear the word menstruation itself, the word menstruation actually means, just simple terms, is that natural process where your body actually sheds down the uterus line. And this happens when there is no pregnancy. So I'll explain it in a better way. Just think of a farmer, for instance, actually prepare the bed. And after preparing the bed, clearing, doing every other thing, but the farmer now did not plant any seed on the bed. Leave the bed that way. Naturally rain will fall, and sun will also shine, and every natural process will occur as it also occur. And over time, that same bed that literally didn't plant anything will actually be filled with weed. And if the farmer wants to plant, he will not just plant on that bed like that. He will have to cultivate the bed. So one thing about menstruation is just a way the body cleanses itself every month by releasing that's tissue and uterus lines, because because it was actually produced just as a bed, and since there is no seed, then it has to be released, and that's what you now end up calling menstruation. And when you talk about menstruation is a phase in your menstrual cycle. Think of it as a book now. A book is a menstrual cycle itself. A page, let me say chapter 1, just menstruation. So a better way of defining it, you might think of it as, the blood bleeding phase in your menstrual cycle. The blood bleeding phase. And it's usually happens between the first to 5 days. 4 to 5 days. And another thing you really have to understand about it is, at that point, biologically, you tend to, for female, for instance, at that point, biologically, you tend to have what we call crumbs. One, and even apart from that, You might feel tired, or you're having some kind of emotion that you cannot mood. Let me use that word, that you cannot really express. And this is usually as a result of, just as I said earlier, the first 5 days is like a bleeding phase. And at that phase, there's something you must also realize about that phase. Excuse me now. There's something you must realize about that phase. This phase leads to the other phase, which is called what? The follicle phase. And this follicle phase, what really happen at this phase is, for some people they describe it as the 6 to 13 days. For some people they describe it as the 4 to 13 days, which means it also still includes the first 5 days. And what happens there is the preparation of what? Of the egg. Like your body is preparing the egg. And one key thing that really happened in this phase, apart from the fact that the body is preparing the egg, which means the egg is now actually what? Developing gradually. And even for the fact the egg is developing gradually, now at this point you begin to experience high level of what? Of hormone. And that's why for some people, especially in secondary school, they will tend to say girls are actually more, they are more intelligent in that aspect, in that phase of their life. Because automatically increase in your hormone will make you think better at that stage. Another thing you must really understand about that phase or that stage is the fact that you'll be more energetic. Unlike the first phase, the first 5 phases where it's as if you are tired, you're not really getting yourself. Now that phase you'll be more energetic. Another thing you really must understand about that phase, I said, is the first to 13 days. And I said at this stage, the egg is actually being developed. It's not in release yet. The release is happening on the 14th day, which is called ovulation. And that place, and at that 14th days, that's when a matured egg is being released. And that's the most fertile, let's say, day of what? Fertilization, the most fertile day. So any fertilization, any sex that happen on that day 14, it have a very high chance of leading to what? Pregnancy. A very high chance. And the next phase I'll be talking about is the luteal phase. At this point now, this is usually between the 15 to 28 days. And one of the key things that really happen at this phase is, first, if there's no pregnancy within the first to 14 days, what really happen now if there's no pregnancy? Because normally if there's pregnancy, then it means the body will support it. But if there's none, it means first your hormone level will go down. And after for the fact that your hormone level is going down, now the uterus lines and the tissues now will be broken down, which will now end passing it later in the early months as menstruation. That's the key thing you have to understand. Then for some people you may be thinking that what was actually the time for pregnancy, or when will I know when the pregnancy will be high, the high chance of being pregnant, or the low chance of getting pregnant, or even the time I won't actually be pregnant. Now you should understand the first 5 days, there's something that happened in the first 5 days now. For the first 5 days, as I said earlier, I said it's a bleeding phase, right, where you have your menstruation literally. One thing about these first 5 phases, which I said it leads to the first 13th stage, Abby. Now, there's what we call early ovulation. And that's why you have to understand something. Even for the fact that you might look at it that, you're not on the 14th days or on the 13th or 12th day. If you actually have sex within anything from 8 or 7, you have to understand that because if you're having a kind of system whereby you can actually have early ovulation now, this is what I call early ovulation in this concept, in this context. Sorry, it means you should understand that whenever a sperm is actually being released, the women, how do I put this now? Whenever a sperm is being released into the vagina, is it vagina now? No, into the, I'm sorry. Whenever a sperm is being released now, there's something in the female private organ now that supports the life of sperm for 5 days. Yes, supports the life of sperm for 5 days. So even if you've not gotten to either the 13th or the 14th day, because of that, they call it mucus now. Because of the mucus that is being released, it will both feed and protect it against the acidic what do I call it now? Acidic secret that is being produced by the vagina. So even for the fact you've not eat the 13th or 14 days, I don't know if you're really getting that concept now. It will actually preserve it and also feed that sperm for 3 to 5 days. So that's why some ladies will be, well, I'm not on my 14th days, or I'm not in the ovulation state. Then why did this actually lead to pregnancy? That's the reason. So that actually occurs because there's early what? Ovulation. So even for the fact you're not on that day, the body has actually what? Save, or has actually what? Has actually keep and protect that sperm till ovulation. And one of the key things I said about ovulation is what happened there is that a matured egg is being released. So since there's already sperm there, then fertilization happens. Hope you all get that explanation. I don't understand. Are you following? Yeah. So now fertilization would actually happen on that as a result of what? Early ovulation. Another thing you have to understand, what if you now have sex on the 14th days? I said that is even the most highest chance of getting pregnant, because that's the date where matured egg is actually being released, and it's being released to where? To the what? Fallopian tube. And when you understand fallopian tube, that's where fertilization really occurs. So it means the egg is already waiting there. It means, do you get that concept now? The egg is already what? Waiting there. And the next thing you have to understand, what if you now have sex between 15th to 28 days? Between that day, there's also late ovulation. So there can also be late ovulation, and this is also sometimes is a result of hormone imbalance, or also as a result of your own health too, probably having some health issues. That's what you have to understand when it comes to what? Pregnancy during your menstrual cycle. Then one of the key part I'll be talking about is the menstrual hygiene. There are things you really have to understand about menstrual hygiene. You know, when it comes to menstrual hygiene, most time you have to be careful about your own daily practices. Your daily practices. And the first one I'll be talking about is when it comes to, you know, changing your pad, for instance. Medically, usually recommended between 4 to 6 hours you should change it. So you don't have to let it wait for too long, but within 4 to 6 hours you should change it. Another thing you have to understand is you have to clean yourself properly. Another key thing I think I really have to mention here, but I do believe you should be aware of that. When you're cleaning yourself, you don't clean back front, you clean forward backward. Why? Because women have a very sensitive organ, and you should really understand. Another thing you have to understand is you don't clean the inside, how do I put it now, the vagina, like the inside itself. You don't clean that. Why? And the reason why it's like that is there's a biological process that it cleans itself. That's the vagina itself now. And with any other let me say you're using a particular soap, you should be very careful to be sure the soap is not a very harsh soap. You should be very careful. It's not a very harsh soap. Another thing I'll really be talking about there is, okay, I'm talking about cleaning from front back. Now, some of the yes, another thing you have to understand when it comes to menstrual hygiene. Now, there are some of your clothes that normally you are going to wear your clothes again. Yes. And especially for your underwears, it's very important. Don't think of sun drying it in the toilet or somewhere. No, it should be under sun directly. And these are the 4 reasons. Is it for now? Yeah, 4 reasons why. When it's under direct sun, the lightning from the sun will kill, any form of germs or anything in. Do you get that? You kill any form of what? Micro substances in that cloth itself. Instead of you thinking of you just spray sun drying it maybe in the toilet or somewhere. So direct contact with the sun. Another thing it reduces there is what? Is the odor. You notice some people, if you just enter their toilet for instance, because they have a lot of underwears being hanged there, you just perceiving some kind of odor that is one what's healthy. And one of what that does, it even breeds microorganisms that will later cause what? Infection. So these are some of the key things you have to really be aware of, and then avoid every one of them. Another thing I'll be talking about is understanding your body. I think this is actually very important. You should know when your menstrual flow is no longer normal. You should actually know when it's becoming too long or when you're not even seeing it at all. You should actually be able to observe that. And for you to really know that, it means you've been studying yourself. You've been studying yourself over time, and you know that, normally this I have it. And also you visit your medical, you visit a medical doctor when you notice any form of thing that is not regular, or you have a level of like say crumbs now, a level of crumbs that is beyond usual, visit a medical doctor. And the last, okay, is it the last part? Yes, the last part I'll be talking about here, the things you really supposed to be aware of. One, there's what we call the PCOS. I don't know if anyone knows the meaning of that. The PCOS. Okay. The PCOS is a process whereby naturally you notice your ovary is not releasing egg like regularly. Notice your ovary is not releasing egg regularly. You actually have to really be aware of such. And also, there's another thing I really want to mention. When it comes to dieting now, in terms of health as a lady, you should know what you should eat per time. Especially when you are having your menstruation, you should know what you should eat. And a very example of what I'll be giving is, you should understand that for most ladies, whenever you are having menstruation, you are releasing a very high level of iron. And it will be wise for you to know the kind of food or the kind of things you have to eat to replace that iron. It will be wise for you to know the kind of food to replace those iron. And the first one I'll be stating here is, you know you've passed out a level of iron from the body. The key is not just to eat anything, but to eat the right food. And one of the food rich in it, you think of beans, you think of Spanish, and you think of which other thing, meats. And not just meats, there are different kind of meats. When you eat normally like cow meat or goat meat, it's very rich in what's in iron. Yeah, very rich in iron. And even if you talking about liver now, maybe either liver from birds or liver from goats or from cow, also it's it's even higher than the normal meat, the liver itself. But it should not be too much. The liver should not be too much. It's in liver should not be too much. Another thing I also want you to understand, fish now for instance, fish has a level of iron, but it's not as high as meat. Another thing fish has is it has a very healthy fat that also helps to reduce menstrual pain. So you should know what to go. You should know what to get when you're having menstrual. You are undergoing your menstruation. So you don't end up going out and buying something that will even increase the pain you're actually going through. Another thing is warm water, and this is how warm water works. It helps to improve the flow when you notice you're having a very hard flow. I'm not talking about hot water, warm water. Just take some warm water, and it helps to reduce the stress. And at the long run, as it's reducing the stress, it's reducing the pain you are even feeling at that moment. Just warm water. You can also take warm water. And when it all comes to foods now, you should know the right foods to take. Now you've lost a level of iron from your body, right? Take some certain foods that will increase the absorption of those iron. And a very good one is foods that are rich in vitamin C. And a good one, you think of orange, you think of pineapple, you think of apple. Take them. You're helping yourself, because it's not even about now, it's about later in future. You see some women, they're like, I'm having pains in my leg, my legs are weak and all of that. That's later now. So to reduce all of those issues when you get old, then you have to start eating healthy now. And the goal is not just to eat all the 6 classes of food. When it comes to balance diet, no. Because you're eating the 6 classes of food does not mean it's balanced, but it should be in the right proportion. So when it comes to eating, you have to eat very healthy. And understand that's not the time you now think of eating food that is very high in sugar now, like eating processed food. No, that should not be the time to eat that. It's just like adding, how will I put it, intensifying the pain you are feeling. And lastly, lastly, I would also like to emphasize on the importance of the warm water I said earlier. I said the first thing it does is to improve the flow level. So when you take warm water, there's how it reduces the tension on you, there's how it reduces stress, there's how it helps your body stay relaxed. And as a result of that, it reduces the pain you are feeling. So even if you don't remember anything, remember when it comes to your menstrual health and menstrual hygiene, your healthy living habits or your food practices is very, very important. So right about now, I would love to pass. Okay, I should just continue. Okay. Yeah. So I think I should also state this. There's what we call is it menarche now? Yeah, menarche. That's the first form of menstruation a female child have. That's the first one. It's called menarche. And everyone, I believe for the females here, you have the experience of your menarche. Yeah, so right about now, I would love to pass on the mic to the next speaker.
My name is Jeremiah Adeoye Adetiran, and I'll be talking on the topic, poverty is a policy problem, rethinking Nigeria's approach to poverty reduction in a community-led approach. I have a confession to make here, and the confession is that as a nation, we have actually been treating poverty like someone that is sick who needs some drug. We give poverty paracetamol. We are looking for tetracycline to give to poverty. We are actually giving poverty chloroquine and all kinds. We even give poverty bed rest. And till now, poverty has not been healed, because all we've been doing as a nation is to try and manage it, but not to stop it. Over 60 years ago, we had our independence as a nation, and in the past over 60 years, we have not been able to find the right drug or the right medicine to cure poverty in our nation. Isn't that a surprise? Is it not bothering? Doesn't it call for a rethink? All right, the problem we have is actually